Hello, IceHogs fans, and welcome to a special episode of IceHogs TV. Joseph Zajszewski with you, alongside my special guest for the day, the newly retired former IceHog team captain, and Kris Versteeg. And Kris, chatting now. It's been a little over a week since the news broke that you announced your retirement, but you hung out with us back in November, kind of teased a little bit that this was going to be the path you were going to take. But does the fact that I say former captain, former this, former that, has that sunk in yet, or is it still kind of fresh in your mind, especially talking with various media outlets and sharing your expertise and all the stories of your incredible 14-year career?
Yeah, I think it's still fresh in my mind. I don't know if I'm really going to understand the feelings until probably the season starts November, December, and I haven't had to train over the summer and come mentally and physically prepared for a grueling season. So I think those are things I'm going to miss a lot, but also excited about where the future goes. But that's going to be I think the point where I'm going to understand it the most.
Well, I know that one of the biggest benefits of retirement is more time spent with family and friends, and I know you're very close with your family, your wife and your kids, and your mother, of course, too. But, I mean, now that we're cooped up inside and the way it's been set up right now, did you expect to get this much family time in right off the hop? I'm sure you're probably itching to get up and move around a little bit.
And my wife's looking at me right now, actually. She's scared of how this answer is going to go. I said I was hiding underneath the stairwell for 2 days, and she finally found me. No, they say retired players generally go a little crazy because you go from never being at home to being at home a lot, and then you put on the quarantine on top of that. So it's definitely it tests you for sure, trying to stay active with your kids every single day and engaged, because when they're 3 and 4, you're trying to find things for them to do. But it's been fun. It's been fun being around them this much, and also especially the little baby right there, seeing her grow and how she changes so much over time. Those are things you usually miss as a hockey player, and I'm getting to see.
Well, you're making up for lost time certainly right now, but I mean, Kris, looking back at your career, 14 years pro, 11 in the NHL, and a couple of quick stops here with the Rockford IceHogs. Your initial thoughts now that you've closed the book on everything, when you look back, and I know some of these anniversaries and milestones that you're celebrating and telling stories of happened recently and also happened a while ago. But if you had to really take a step back and reflect, I mean, where does your mind go when you wander back and be like, man, like that was a lot of fun, but I'm looking forward to this next chapter?
Well, it's 2008-9, my rookie year in the NHL. My first full year. The other year I was up and down in my first NHL games of memory, but when I finally was a full-time NHL hockey player, I remember that was such an accomplishment and a feeling, because there's one thing of playing, one game or up and down one season, but when you finish a full season in the National Hockey League and you qualify, as a full-time NHLer, that's just something special, and it takes a lot of work to go into it, and it takes a lot more to stay. And it takes some good luck and a lot of people like you along the way. But for me, that was something where I realized it's special to be a part of that kind of group of players that have been able to carve out careers and paths and not just games. And it's a memorable season for me, especially you go to the Western Conference Finals. No one expected us to do it. We didn't even expect ourselves, I don't think, to do it. We were just a young team, bunch of buddies, and we ended up going that far. And I think that's kind of what ignited the whole 2010 Cup run, was that season. But that's just those memories of that first full NHL hockey season.
And I'm sure you've seen that realization wash over the faces of many prospects in your time. But even looking back at the beginning of this season with the Rockford IceHogs, I mean, there was a lot of guys on that bubble that were looking to become those full-time NHLers. And since your memory goes to there, I mean, what tidbits and tips did you have for those guys? Because at times you can kind of feel lost on the roadmap, especially when you come from a different country, a different way of playing, a different style, juniors, college, you name it. It's kind of hard to find any one path, and everybody's path to the National Hockey League is not the same. So how did you help people realize those dreams and ultimately get to see that realization of becoming a full-time NHLer?
Yeah, well, they're the ones who are realizing it because they've put in a lifetime of work just to get there. So for me, it's just giving little bits of information from what I've went through in order to pass it on to them. And the biggest thing is ask questions. If you've been sent down or, and you don't believe that you should have been sent down, ask a question. I know I did multiple times and maybe it didn't sit well. Even with Dale Talon at times, me and him would talk about it, but I feel like you're fighting for your career, and it's only a short window. And that's the biggest thing I tried to emphasize to the guys is ask where you fit within the organization, what they see for you. And if you don't feel that you've been sent down and you're on the bubble and it doesn't sit well with you, let it be known. But then you got to back it up with your play as well. You can't just go down and pout and not like it. But you need to fight for your career because you got a short window to make the NHL.
And development's all about trying to hit your mark on those sharp windows and jump through that window when it opens to you. Time with the Rockford IceHogs this season, time when you were a young prospect as well. And I know a lot of our fans are excited to see you right now and are certainly thankful. But looking back at your development as a young buck and even as a veteran player trying to help out some of these younger guys, the impact that you made in Rockford was tremendous, even though it was only for a couple of games and a couple of seasons. But what are some of your fondest memories of being in the Forest City, being in this state-line community, and how that has helped you become a better person, a better player, and made an impact on a lot of these younger guys too?
Well, the thing I'm going to remember the most about is the first home game against, I think it was against Grand Rapids Griffins this year when they announced me coming out and everyone stood up and I got an ovation that, it gave me definitely chills. Everyone was up and they cheered, and it was a moment as a hockey player. It wasn't like I was skating on the United Center. It was in Rockford and everyone cheered, and it was a moment that I'm going to remember forever. And I'm so grateful to the Rockford fans and everyone there that gave me that feeling that day. And then you go back to the 2007-8 season where we had a team that should have won it. We kind of got screwed in that playoff run. I'm going to go out and say a pretty bad reffing in game 6.
You can say that now. You can't be suspended anymore.
No, I can't be suspended. Right. Yeah. So anyways, it wasn't good reffing in game 6. It was bad. And game 7 wasn't good either. I don't know how you can go shorthanded 5-on-3 3 times in one period. But it was the craziest kind of 2-game period I've ever been in part of, with just calls and stuff like that, even probably going back to minor hockey. But we had a team that should have won it. I think we kind of got robbed, I felt a little bit, but overall we had a great team, great group of guys, and we were all fighting each other to get called up. That's the thing. You're playing with these guys, but you're all fighting for a spot in the NHL. So the competition was there. We all made each other better players, and we were all happy, to still be, a lot of us are still friends today.
Well, it's that camaraderie, too, that led you up to the National Hockey League with the Chicago Blackhawks. Great handful of seasons with them, including 2 Stanley Cups, which I know you love sharing your memories with your teammates there. And I want to kind of bring it back around to your current situation. That camaraderie in the locker room might not be the same anymore. I know you still keep in touch with a lot of your teammates, but maybe the atmosphere is different. The music might be a little different, and what you have on in the background, it's not that pump up excitement before a game. How do you feel like you're going to evolve now, knowing that I guess that behind the scenes locker room, plane ride, bus ride, hotel night out with the team is going to be a little bit different now?
Yeah, I don't know. I every day I'm going to find out maybe one path I want to take or one I don't. I know right now media is the one path I'm going to try and see how it goes for me. But coaching my kids will be the other thing. I want to have enough time on my hands to, if they play hockey or soccer, and especially hockey, if they play that and they're good at it, it'd be something I want to try to give as much information to them, because if I don't, I feel like it would be wrong, especially being coached and playing with all the great players and coaches I've played for and with. So that's something I'm going to emphasize time on, is helping them and their friends as well as the media. But again, things can change daily or yearly. I don't know really what my full-time job will be just yet. I know I'm going to give some opportunities or give myself some opportunities to look in and do some certain things and see where it goes.
And then on the ice, too, I'd love to know your emotions now. When you departed the IceHogs in November, you went overseas, got to play with your brother, compete for the Spengler Cup, and win that. First time I chatted with you since then. Congratulations. I've seen you share a lot of your great memories from the Stanley Cup runs, but emotionally, I would love to know about the Spengler Cup, too. Just because with the Stanley Cup, it's, hockey's ultimate prize, but it kind of paints a picture of, we can fight for it again next year and the year after that and the year after that. The Spengler Cup, you kind of knew this was your last chance to have that hurrah, have that feeling. What was it like emotionally, and how does it compare to maybe the Stanley Cup runs that you were with?
Well, Stanley Cup runs are just, I've never got to play in Olympics, obviously, but to me, there's nothing like a Stanley Cup run. It's 9-month grind, 10 months altogether, 11 if you include training, and you're with a team for so long and you go through so many ups and downs. The stories each day change every day. So there's really nothing to me like winning a championship with your club team, whether it be the NBA or Stanley Cup or MLB, at the sports pinnacle league. So, and even the AHL, I'm sure, or East Coast, there's the feelings too of what we would feel winning the Stanley Cup. But for me, there was nothing like that. The big thing about the Spengler Cup is it's an amazing event that you still have some of the best players in the world, not in the NHL, that are at. And it's a chance to win. It's a very prestigious prize. I mean, the oldest hockey tournament in hockey, and it's high competition, and everyone wants to win it. And Hockey Canada does an amazing job bringing you there and putting your families up and giving you just so many great memories. Sean Burke and Shane Doan did such an awesome job, and it was one thing my brother always told me before I retired he wanted me to play in. And I knew in Rockford, just that 3-week stretch where I was hurt and everything, I didn't know if I could make it through another season in order to get that chance to play in the Spengler Cup. And that's what I talked with Bernie too, is I'd like to play in that, and I'd like to go finish with my brother. And that's kind of what happened. I got to play a couple games with my brother and retire with him. But the Spengler Cup was that third period, the second period, I scored a goal, and I screamed as loud as I could because I pretty much knew it was going to be the last goal I ever scored. So it was such an exciting moment, and to win it with a bunch of Canadian guys who, a lot of those guys, that'll be the biggest tournament they play in, and to see the emotion on their face was awesome. So to be a part of that team was so much fun, and I recommend it to any player who has the chance. And Matt Tompkins as well. I know I talked to Burke about Tomer. He's a goalie I'd like to see get a big chance, big opportunity, because he's a heck of a goalie. So I definitely back him, and I backed him trying to get him, onto that team, and he came in and played great for us. So it was great also to win it with a buddy.
Well, he earned his first National Hockey League contract not all that long ago, thanks to his efforts this season with the IceHogs and his continued progression, and maybe the Spengler Cup certainly helped that cause out as well. And Chris, I mean, we talk about family again, and family at this point in time, given whether, we're inside and in quarantine and hanging out together, and especially coming after a great career and spending more time with them. Just what were some of the conversations like with your family, knowing that Spengler Cup, that final goal, as you just touched upon, and then really this kind of season, I don't want to call it farewell season, but you kind of knew where it was going back in November. What did it mean to have them step by step with you on this journey, whether it was with the IceHogs, with Chicago, overseas, and then finally to today, where it all was kind of like a nice close to your celebration personally of a hockey player, but for them on the journey that you all made together?
Yeah, the Spengler Cup, like you said, it wrapped up just an amazing hockey journey in one weekend, flying all my family out there and being there for that moment. But, I think back, it was, so I played 14 years, but it was 15 seasons. And my first season, I played in Providence, and I was called up from Red Deer, and I went to the airport, and my went to Lethbridge, got my stuff, and drove to the airport. And I remember my grandma just crying. It was like she was sending me off to war or something. It was a crazy moment just with me and her. And I still remember I was like, well, if I'm going to leave home and I'm going to see, my family, they feel this way about me, I better take it serious and try to do the best with that. And that 13 games as a 19-year-old in playoffs won me an NHL contract. So that's a moment that catapulted me into having the career that I had. And playing in Providence, and then, going through so many highs and lows. But those are moments that you think back on. If I never had that opportunity, who knows where I'd even be. Just to finish, like I said, finish it all up with a championship with Canada, playing Spengler Cup, all my family there, was just a wonderful experience.
Well, again, congratulations on a fantastic career, 14 seasons or 15 seasons, and then 11 in the National Hockey League and 2 here with the Rockford IceHogs. Now on the other side, you mentioned you're going to get into coaching and get into broadcasting. Let's start with the broadcasting spot first. I guess I better keep an eye and look over my shoulder here.
No, you're good.
Well, you get to be in a very unique perspective, and you have a lot of teammates that are in broadcasting too from your NHL days. They, go on the other side of the equation. You have that line in the sand of the inside the locker room, outside the locker room perspectives. But having been on the inside, you probably have an inside track of some of the questions that maybe myself and others don't know to ask, or situations that you can kind of see through and visualize. What are you looking forward to the most about being in that situation and having those conversations with sometimes former teammates and then now sometimes some of these up-and-coming players that are making a name for themselves in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, I think it's just asking them questions about how they got there and what are attributes, to them that make them strong, and their weaknesses too. I think those are always good questions, because when you're watching as a hockey player or a hockey media guy or fan, those are things that maybe if they point them out that you'd never know or see. So I think, and then also seeing the up and coming young players, there's really nothing like watching a rookie come into the league who you kind of hear about and then take it by storm. So I'm excited to just see all the little intricacies that go into being in the media. And I'm starting out, so I don't really know too much about it just yet, but I'm excited about all the possibilities that can come with it, and all the questions I can ask and things I can learn. I know the one thing I thought was hard is having that bug in my ear. And when I would talk, it was my voice I could hear so loud in my ear, and I thought I thought something was going wrong with me. But it was those are little things that you don't know about as a player, and you have to have a point of view within 15 seconds really. And if you don't get it across in the right way, it'll piss a lot of people off. So it is definitely going to be a new experience, and one that I'm excited about.
And on the other side for coaching too, you want to coach your kids and be active in their growth as youth hockey players in your local community. How excited are you for you to go behind the bench now and maybe help out, whether it's fundamentals or a couple of advanced moves in the coaching ranks?
Now I'm really excited about just the fundamental part, and we go downstairs and play a lot every day, and they don't really listen to me quite yet. So I kind of know how my dad. I know how my dad feels, but it's something I think I'm more excited about at this moment is teaching them. And then once they start to get a little older, and you can coach and really get behind the bench and coach them and see how they take the information you give them and put it into their games and see how they grow with it too. I'm excited about all that, and I'm excited to watch them on their career paths.
What has quarantine life been for Kris Versteeg these days, knowing that you can't go outside, can't go to the local hockey rink? Have you found out a new skill set, a new hobby, maybe a new passion that you didn't think was there, and all of a sudden this extra time on your hands has allowed for that?
That's a question for my wife.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you haven't been poking any holes downstairs. You're not having to do any drywall work or anything like that.
No, I've been rollerblading a lot. I was a big roller hockey player growing up, and loved it. And so I got the boys rollerblades. So that's been actually killing a lot of time as they get on the rollerblades. And they're only 3 and 4, and they turn 4 and 5 here soon. But they've been getting on them and having a lot of fun. That's been taking up a lot of time. But right now it's just every day trying to help the kids and find things to do to fill up the time. School, they're back on online schooling. And you got to thank the teachers for doing that, because that's not easy. And I know my mom's a teacher as well. So the online schooling is not an easy thing, especially for little kids. And to keep kids engaged that long is tough. But yeah, it's really just finding things out. I don't know if I'm going to find too many things out I don't know about myself already.
Well, I've heard painting, I've heard video games, I've seen binge watching Netflix, kind of the running the gauntlet of keeping up with a lot of these players on social media. So I'm just curious to see what's a Kris Versteeg hobby day look like when you get to kind of back away and have a moment to yourself.
Yeah, with quarantine, it's just like I said, rollerblading, taking the kids out, doing little things, sports, soccer. They love all different sports. Around the house, paint. They do some painting too. That's more of the mom thing. What else did you say in their games? I actually bought I bought a Nintendo Switch, but it's been used like 3 times.
I'm with you. My patience isn't that long enough to play video games, so I'm with you there too. Well, Kris, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. And again, congratulations on a fantastic career. Wanted to track you down and just get your thoughts now that you've had a week and a half or so to really think back on everything, and especially your perspective being now a former IceHog captain.
Awesome. Thank you guys all very much.